Good day all, or good morning. I just have to show you. After yesterday's Christmas Day storm of 70 mile an hour winds and 60 Fahrenheit temperatures, it was so warm. And then after the wind faded, it was like a warm spring day, 60s with heavy rain, and the wind had stopped. It was really made me feel like it was April. This morning, however, it's just above freezing, just above freezing. But look at the amazing sky. The deep, dark cloud. And you can really appreciate it when you see the lighter sky above. You can just see a sliver of orangish light under that bit of cloud there. So, this is the sea today. And as many of you are still stuck inside, I thought it would be nice just to have some footage of beachcombing, with the gulls crying and the sound of the waves and the sun hitting the cold New England sea. Maybe you could imagine yourself hunting for treasures as I do daily, looking for beach glass or interesting shells, other flotsam and jetsam that washes ashore from the big storm we had on Christmas Day. But as we are more inside, I hope to share more outside. So at least, even virtually, you can take a trip to the New England shore. And I actually had some extra footage from our trip to the Dennis Antiques Mart, so I thought today we could go through some of it and just have a little outing. Starting with this darling stiff squirrel, which is really adorable, but was out of my price range. And as you know, my love for fish items, which I'm trying to find, I found this beautiful sardine box, and I thought it was a really beautiful, really pretty pattern, and it was only $28, so it probably isn't really very dear. But speaking of fish things, for the fun daydreaming fish items, and if I were to choose my sort of dream sardine box, this one here is which is a Miolica sardine box. It's a Victorian George Jones sardine box, about circa 1875, and it has this beautiful rosy pink interior. I only just think it's very beautiful, and I would love to start collecting things with fish on, but they are quite expensive. And the last time I saw one of these become available, it was about $570. So again, this is just the dream. It is, again, dreams are free. But I really like this other one, and I think I actually may go back and get this. It was only $28. And then I recalled the beautiful pink fabric, or tapestry. I may go back and look at that. Now we have the Fitzhugh pattern of the Copeland's bowed china. Now this is in the red color, which I think is quite pretty, and it is stoneware as opposed to porcelain, but I really like it also comes in a blue and a green pattern. Now I found the red pattern there, but I would love to have the green pattern, because I've really been thinking that green and white might be fun to mix with the blue and white. And you can see these were $18 per cup and saucer. And I remember I had purchased this little ram. I showed it to you on a previous vlog, but I found it in this section that has a mixture of sort of overpriced and underpriced things, like this yellowware bowl at $35. It's not too bad. It's a little overpriced, and this darling 20s measuring cup for about $28. But then this glass single turkey egg cup was $22, which I thought was a bit dear. And with little tins like this, I actually have a collection of some tins, but I would love to have things like this for my pantry and open shelves in the boathouse kitchen if and when we get back to that project. And I also forgot to share with you, I'd actually purchased it, but I didn't show it to you on the day that I did the vlog. But this darling chicken cookie cutter, I actually purchased, and I just forgot to share it with you. And I'm hoping the first cookie I make will be in Bessie in the boathouse. So that's a little hope there. This was another case that had finer things in it, so I thought it might be nice just to kind of slow down the footage, just for you to have a nice browse around. The Lalique penguin was really pretty, but $4,000. But I thought it was amazing. So for $385, here we have a fired clay figure of Isis feeding baby Horus, and it's from the Middle Kingdom, which is 2000 to 1700 BCE. So I mean, that's quite an antiquity. I mean, very, very old. So it's interesting to find, and here's a more like a museum quality version of it. But it's amazing that at this place where you can find a $4 chicken biscuit or cookie cutter, you can also find something from BC. And just some other little lovely things. This was a little bone carved temple with a seated Buddha in. I thought these lions were actually really pretty. Oh, this was amazing. These are copper dogs, also from antiquities, about 650 BC, and they're $750. But isn't it amazing to think that you could own such a, almost like a museum quality piece, and just for sale here on Cape Cod, mixed in with $4 cookie cutters. I thought this $125 copper Art Deco piece was really sweet. It had the pen with the nibs, but all the little copper sections, the blotter, the calendar, the corners for your to put your blotter paper in, and the copper inkwell was really pretty. Oh, it also had a little letter stand as well. And then there's a bone letter opener right next to a BC era stone oil lamp. I really like this porcelain figure with a sheep. Oh, and I love anything bone. So this carved bone walking stick I thought was pretty. I actually have my grandfather's old walking stick, which has a sterling nib, and sometimes I actually use it when I take walks just for fun. Oh, this was beautiful. I love buffalo pottery, but it can be quite dear. This piece was $625, but it's an old American company, started around 1900, and they really became known for making things for ships and cruise lines and restaurant ware later on. This is a darling set of Hitchcock chairs, but it actually wasn't the chairs that I was saving the footage for, although they're really pretty with the cornucopia on the back. But I thought this lock set, faceplate set for a door was really pretty. And I did, it actually wasn't too dear. I can't remember what the price was. It was under $100. But I tried the lock and it wasn't quite working, and I think it would be great for Bunny Hall, but I'm nowhere near that stage where I'm thinking about hardware for doors. But I just thought they were really pretty. And then I also noticed in the background a really pretty green fish plate, which I hadn't noticed at the time, but that's what's so good about taking footage, so I can go back and have a little browse. And then down here on the bottom, this is fun. This is a 1950s set of a Hazel Atlas china. It's kind of similar to Pyrex. It's like a fired glassware made by an American company, Hazel Atlas, which was actually two separate companies that joined. But this was one of their famous patterns in the 50s. It was called the crinoline or the petticoat. And it also comes in the beautiful robin's egg blue that I like. Now this was really sweet. I want to find out more about this particular type of pottery. I'm guessing it's probably from the teens to the early 20s, and it's probably a child's plate because it has the rolled edge so food wouldn't fall off. But I just really love that animal pattern going in a circle. Now, for outside, to show the drastic differences of the Dennis Antique Mart, is inside you can find something from 2000 BC, but out here in this second outbuilding, this is probably the closest to a French brocante we have in this particular area, because in here are all sorts of treasures just kind of tossed around like a jumble sale or a tag sale. You'll find, dressers for $25 or lamps for $10. It's just kind of a mishmash of things thrown about. But it's a good place to find deals, and also sometimes they'll have wooden pieces that aren't necessarily historically or antiquities. So if you want to do painted furniture, you can find an older piece that isn't necessarily dear, so you wouldn't feel guilty about painting it or adding details, like this fun old Art Deco sideboard over there. And there are old things like I meant wardrobe. This Art Deco wardrobe could be fun to paint because it's not in great condition. And this is probably just a 1970s early American hutch, so you would not feel bad about painting it and adding details. So that's kind of fun. And then just having a little look around, more random things. Items like cake tins and old IBM typewriters. Actually, my husband collects old typewriters, although he's kind of scaled his collection back a bit. This is also a great place to find lamps, not necessarily high quality as far as antiquities lamps, but lamps that are fun to make over. And I thought this was a really sweet salt box doll's house, which was probably just made in the 70s. I'm guessing the 70s because the wallpaper, which is real wallpaper inside, looks like the 1970s version of sort of colonial-inspired, early American-inspired things. But I really like this shot where the light was coming through the old wallpaper and casting the shadow and light on the floor of the doll's house. This would be fun to make over, but I don't need any more projects. And boxes of books and random things. Now, what's good is you can sort through that stuff, and if you find the dealer, sometimes you can make a bid and just buy a lot from them, as long as they recoup what they paid at auction. Another little Hitchcock chair in the back corner back there. An old television. Really, this is very junk shop. I actually thought this Victorian bed was rather nice. Now, it isn't necessarily highly desired as far as an antique, because it's obviously a machine made. It's from the Victorian period, but it's a machine Victorian piece. But for $95, a beautiful piece of wood for the headboard and the footboard and then the sideboards, I think is actually quite a good deal. You couldn't buy, that's cheaper than IKEA, and it's solid wood. Although you would probably have to have a mattress made, because we have an old, a grandmother's old bed that we had to have a mattress made because it wasn't quite a full and it wasn't a single. But more mixture of odd paintings, mid-century side tables, bits and bobs. I actually think that bit of wood in the back, which had some marquetry in it, it was probably just came off of a piece of furniture, would be great to use to build into something if you're making a piece of furniture or adding to a wall. Old metal pieces like the old scale. So that was just I thought it would be fun to just have a little bit of a day out, because I know many of you are still stuck in, and I had the extra footage. So now next time we go back, we are going into that outbuilding out there, which unfortunately was not open when we went last time. Now let's head back home to the studio and start sketching. And in the studio, let me share this sketch. I had an idea the other day of 2 characters, a mouse and a hedgehog, and a 12th cake. And as we're in the 12 days of Christmas, from now till Epiphany on the 6th, I thought it would be fun to have the characters, which I just sort of made up, again, sort of in a book that's not quite a book style, where I come up with a story idea in a page. And let's get started, and I'll share the story. Oliver Mouse sat bloated with cake. His dicky bow was askew and a bit worse for wear, being covered in pink icing. He leaned upon the sugar crown atop the 12th cake, satiated. Jasper Hedgehog was comparably covered in pink icing, though his smug countenance was due to the bean he held aloft. "I am the king for the day," declared Jasper Hedgehog, licking pink icing from his fingers. One could hardly blame the pair for being tempted. Having spied the 12th cake, shining in its pink icing and pair of sugared crowns on the shelf in the larder since the Christmas season had begun, they had to have a go. Though their mothers had warned them to stay away, there would be none for them until the crumbs of Twelfth Night itself, which was some weeks off. They could not but be tempted by all that pink icing. "I say," said Oliver Mouse, attempting to straighten his tie, only to cover it more completely with pink sugar, "there were 2 crowns on this cake, so by rights I too should be a king." "Well, that is where you are mistaken," said Jasper Hedgehog in his priggish manner, straightening his sugar crown. He pointed to the bean which he had retrieved from the depths of the 12th cake. "It was I who found the bean in the cake, and thus I am to be the king. The other crown could be for a queen, perhaps. We should give it to your sister," beamed Jasper Hedgehog. It was well known, but never said aloud, that Jasper Hedgehog was rather sweet on Oliver Mouse's sister. "Tosh and nonsense," retorted Oliver Mouse, standing up in protest to only sink deeper down into the cake. They would neither be king nor queen when their mothers found what they had done. That is, of course, unless Cook found them first. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story. And again, that is just a rough sketch. If I decide to do anything more with it, I would make it into more of a permanent-looking finished piece. But I just thought it was fun to share. And I'm hoping everyone enjoyed today's vlog, and that everyone is looking forward to a joyful and hopeful 2021. So I'll see you in the chats when I can, or in the comments. And until then, remember, stay creative.